to the Daniel Vail Show. This is your host, Daniel Vail. And the reason I call it that is because all the other names I chose on Spreaker were not getting accepted, so this was the only thing I could think of using that they wouldn't decline. And I just wanted to come on here and say that as a lot of y'all know, Eric Bischoff has an 83 Weeks podcast himself, so I couldn't call it a review of 83 Weeks. Couldn't necessarily use that name because that's pretty much what my I already do. So what I want to do is I want to say that on this podcast there's really not much I know. There's really not a lot of great or big time things I know of outside of the 83 Weeks timeline. So or the early brand split. Outside of those two times, I don't know much, so I would have to look at what people think are big times in wrestling and talk about them on here. I remember that when Chris Jericho came out in WCW, that was big, and also before that was the NWO. But to me, what was really big for WCW and tag team wrestling was when they took to Memphis wrestling fans. You'll know this man to be Robert Fuller, so I'll use his real name, Robert Fuller. They took Robert Fuller and his character Colonel Parker, and they put he and Sister Sherry as a promoter and manager of Harlem Heat. That was big time because it gave both of them a steadier character role. So instead of hold on. Hello, I'm back. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this podcast is anytime I find or remember a superstar make a debut, then I'm going to talk about it on here. I had spoken on Patreon about Hulk Hogan's heel turn, and that was actually, of course, started out with Scott Hall's debut, Kevin Nash's debut, and then the next week Kevin Nash's debut. So what I'm going to do is just talk about those shows and compare them to Monday Night Raw, because it's part of what makes it fun for me. And I will talk also about when JBL debuted as Justin Hawk Bradshaw, and just any and all other debuts I can think of at that time. But most of those debuts happened in '96. So for right now, I'm gonna leave that for when I'm gonna build up to those episodes on the first show I do. I just have to remember all the shows I did before. Okay. Thank y'all. I know this is kind of short, but I just thought it'd be fun to talk about this. And I would also talk about Impact Wrestling's from their pay-per-views, from their weekly pay-per-views. Like first time they put Harrison Storm together. Excuse me. Shut up. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's listened to listened to the shows I've done so far. I was on the other show I have. It's scheduled for Wednesday night at 6 o'clock or 6:30. So all the shows are clear on that time. And that show will be on Wednesday nights, and every show I do on here, you'll listen to it right away. Thank y'all thank you to the people who have thought about having a I actually forgot how you say that. Thank you to everybody who has thought about things like the WWE Network and Global Wrestling Network and Fight TV and all that stuff, because that helps the podcast also. All right. As I'm doing this, I may just talk about a few news and rumors items. Wonder why Raw hit a new record low this week when they started showing things that were different. Excuse me again. Bless you. Oh, I got a feeling that a lot of the reasons this was the lowest rated episode was because it's pre-taped. Let's see.
Take that stupid door down. Ain't doing no good.
I'm recording.
Get away.
I'm recording.
I'm sorry. Why you do that? No one else coming.
So I already started when you asked me to vacuum.
Oh, baby.
Okay. looks like WWE is not likely to return to Madison Square Garden for a long time, which could be detrimental to the company because that's that's big not only to wrestling but specifically to the company. So let's see what it said. Oh. The recent house show didn't have a good turnout, so maybe they should just think about how to change their entire format, because that reflects on how that's just a reflection on how there's not a big rating, like I just said. So even after saying there's going to be changes, maybe things will pick up next year, because the new quote changes won't be implemented until the new year when they go live again. So I hope for their sake they find a way to update their show and make it less boring, because that's really what's been costing them a lot, is how boring or how predictable it is. And another news item is there's a possibility of them trying out new match rules. In the Madison Square Garden show the other night, not only did Apollo Crews win a battle royal to earn a future title shot at the Intercontinental title, but it was interesting because eliminations could happen on a pinfall along with someone being thrown over the top rope. Last time I saw this was in TNA, and you couldn't pin somebody until after there were 2 men left. So they took something that's already been done and they just made it differently. So I hope they do this, because it might make it more interesting than it's been in a few years. Okay, let me check to see how much was recorded. Okay. I don't really know what else to talk about, so I'm gonna leave it right here. And please tune in every Wednesday night at about 6:30 to listen to my show about the ratings for. And when that comes up, I'll let everybody know when I start talking about the shows where people debut and ended up having big careers out of it. Thank you and goodbye.